So I understand that a Battlefront 3 by DICE could be unlikely. Today I want to speculate on exactly what we want or could expect out of a possible next installment. But before I get into it, I want to wish everyone a happy holiday and to let you know that I will be watching The Rise of Skywalker. And on the following day, I'll be giving some type of review for the movie, so if you want to see that video when it comes out, remember to subscribe and turn on the bell for notifications. First off, there are no guarantees that there will or won't be a third installment of DICE's Battlefront. As on PCGN.com, I found an article on the following questions I had. Though they say Battlefront 3 isn't on the agenda, they don't exactly say it's something that they wouldn't reconsider. And honestly, I don't want to get my hopes up, but they've been doing really well since last year, when the Clone Wars season started, and have promised even more to come throughout 2020. So, in this article by Chris J. Capel, he wrote the following. Star Wars Battlefront 3 isn't happening yet, because there's not the same hunger for sequels. Call of Duty. This level of support is unusual for EA and DICE, who traditionally, with most Battlefield games, as Star Wars Battlefront 1, would support a game with a season pass, DLC, expansions, and patches for a little while. After that, though, that they would usually be preparing for a sequel. But in Battlefront's case, that's not happening. And Star Wars Battlefront 3 is still a long way off if it happens at all. We spoke to Dennis Brandval, design director on Star Wars Battlefront 2 at Gamescom, and he told us the surprising truth, that Battlefront 3 is not a part of the deal. Sequels are probably still viable, otherwise people wouldn't be doing them, he explains, but it's not the same hunger as it used to be. We were so used to the chain of sequels, where we do a sequel, then we do a season pass for a year, and then we move on to the next game. I think the industry has changed on that. Before, it was very transactional, and we made the game, and we signed up for 4 DLCs, and then that's it. So then you focus on getting value to players out of what they paid for, and if there was a system that wasn't working, then you put a pin in that and say, we'll fix it in the next sequel. Brandval then confirmed, this time around we are not doing it that way. He goes on, you'll see us really overhauling bits that aren't working and not be afraid of changing things, which means that your community is happier because it is a better game overall. He then gives an example of the player's previous spawn wave spawning system, which the team removed after player feedback suggested a more team-focused one would be better. So now DICE has made it so players can spawn on teammates. We're not afraid of making those changes, whereas if we'd been working on the sequel, it would have just been some paid season pass. Then would have been, okay, we're not doing that for the sequel, but we're not going to change it. So, take that as you will, but I believe that if they get the right ideas behind a better system, they have the potential to make a Battlefront to end all Battlefronts. So take the campaign for example. The attempt of original stories can work, but in this case, it wasn't well received. I hear from most that it's because I didn't switch teams, and most missions were lackluster, like the Luke mission where you fight bugs for 10 minutes. Imagine Battlefront 3's first mission. The tutorial mission was a redesigned version of original Battlefront 2's. Or you started as a clone on a Venator in a training arena, then you were directed to a hangar to learn piloting, and then immediately after, you and the fleet jumped to hyperspace to break a blockade where you would learn to destroy the enemy ships from the inside. The next mission is of rebel troops moving toward a high-value target on Coruscant, where you would get practice in close-quarters combat while also completing objectives. In the next mission, you're a bounty hunter on a mission to infiltrate the Resistance to find out what the next target is. There's too much lore in the Star Wars to box yourself into one story. Now, as for online modes, the number one mode that they should promote, Galactic Conquest. I figured that since it's a galaxy-wide strategic mode, it will take a while to finish. So there's offline against AI for those who want to take their time, or online where nothing stops. 4v4 co-op if the opposing team tries to take an allied world you control, but you and your team aren't near. The other team must fight against AI. But you can fortify each allied world with different tools to better protect it, like in the original, extra health, more reinforcements, better vehicles. Your team tries to capture planets at the same time, protect allied controlled planets. The other team captures planets and attempts to prevent you from taking theirs, and vice versa. And for those of you wondering how they'd be able to add so many planets and places to make this mode possible, Battlefront 1 and 2 proves that they have the assets to put together a mode like this, with updated graphics, retouches to the models and assets, and I don't care if it has to wait till next gen. It could be one of the most anticipated modes ever to come out of DICE's studio. And from there, they just let loose. Starfighter Assault doesn't start you at a pick-your-fighter Mortal Kombat style anymore. You spawn in on an allied ship where you can jump in a fighter of your choice. In online, there's always more fighters than players. Let's say it's a big 20v20 space battle and you get gunned down and have to respawn. The menu will direct you to an available fighter in one of however many hangars there are during the mode. On the ground, whichever mission you're doing on whatever planet, the vehicles are spawned in and respawn after its destruction, plus a certain amount of time. Perhaps it spawns in with a cool animation like an AATTE does in Battlefront 2, dropping in by an LAAT. Or a separatist ship hauling AATs, STAPs, MTTs, etc. Maybe there's a story mode online, where some missions can be copied into an online mode like a tad better version of Galactic Assault in Battlefront 2. And this time, they need to let you pick the maps you want to play. A game with this amount of content could net a wide audience, making dice-controlled map rotation a thing of the past. So what about cosmetics? Personally, I like the live events, even if it means there's no other chance to get it. But what most games are doing these days, and I'd expect they'd want to jump on the bandwagon for, the Battle Pass. The free progression system just above the paid one. Keeping it cosmetic will ensure there's no pay to win, and generally will help keep the game up to date with the newer ones. Not that I want them nickel and diming you after paying for their $60 base game or their $70 awesome you wanted edition, especially not after their $120 super deluxe Nacho Supreme get it right now or you're missing out edition. But if that's what it takes for them to incorporate the things I've talked about being added into the game, I can live with it, and I think most fans can too. Next, they should add as many characters from as many eras as possible. Like who we're missing in Battlefront 2, I'm talking Rex, Ahsoka, Ventress, Cad Bane, Cody, Aura Singh, Mace Windu, Savage Opress, Poe, Hux, hell, since they're adding droids now, why not R2-D2, R3-S6, which was the undercover droid from the Clone Wars? Or how about some Inquisitors, Jedi who survived Order 66 like Cal Kestis, Ezra, Kanan? Or something I'm never sure about but wanted to add in this video to see what y'all think. Character creation. And make that another heroes vs villain mode, or a character you can save up battle points to use in online. I thought about it, and honestly, they can take this 3 ability system and make a ton of unique ones where you can just make your own Jedi, Sith, or somewhere in between, so you're invested in learning the combat system and leveling up your character. Hell, since Anakin dropped, I thought about adding a bunch of 4th ultimate abilities. Not overpowered, but rewarding you should you survive long enough to use it. You can unlock it at higher levels, which even furthers the argument for progression. And no more peer-to-peer connection. Dedicated servers are much better, and DICE have been known to incorporate this into their games. On these dedicated servers, the host can pick the maps, the modes, and the eras that they want, which will help a large amount of the player base wanting to play the maps that they want and how they want. And one of the last things, another hypothetical, what if they added a map and mode editor, letting you customize the map and objectives any way you want? Being user-friendly, I know of a game which lets you do something like this. It's Arma 3. Granted, you need mods to run a Clone Wars game type, but when I was trying it out, I had a lot of fun, and now I'd imagine it would work similar to the Forge from Halo Reach, where these maps, when created and finished, could be uploaded to the cloud so anyone can download and use it. That way, worst case, and someone really wanted to play the game in a particular way, could be satisfied. A game with this included, in my opinion, would be contender for Game of the Year. I'm not sure if any of this is possible or if it's even what people want, but I believe that making the game this way will have more players give good feedback, then DICE would be able to focus on the things that they want to put in the game instead of what they need in, or what's been asked for. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys, and thanks, as always, so much for watching.